Hey, welcome to episode 214, Care, but Not Too Much. All right. First thing to talk about is it's kind of, this is a conversation I've had like multiple times just this week. So I figured I'd share it with you guys. It's something that I'm a big fan of Jocko. He talks about in his book, and I came across it, and I was like, man, this is kind of like right on the money with everything that's going on lately. So first things I'll talk about is it's all about how something's prepared. Think about that. And I've learned that mostly with cooking, but it's very interesting how it kind of relates to everything else. So I took the kids out on the boat, had a fun day. We saw a bunch of dolphins, caught a trout, which we got to give back down here, Spanish mackerel, and hooked up a shark, but it broke me off. Kept the Spanish mackerel, it was a nice size, but I was nervous because I'm like, man, I don't know if this is going to taste any good. Because it's typically, I think, considered like an oily fish, and I think I've tried to make it before, it didn't turn out right. So I looked up some recipes, and I want to talk about like marinating it in some like garlic and lemon and some seasonings, but the lemon juice supposedly kind of helps with the flavor of it, plus the fact that I bled the fish first. So I ended up seasoning it all up. I marinated it, threw it on the grill, and I tried some of it, and it was absolutely delicious. My son ate more than I did. He just kept piling in, just grabbing it handfuls, kept eating it up. So I learned, and I've learned that before because there's certain dishes down here that guys will make, and it's all about how something's prepared. I've had it before when someone's made it, mullet or like collard greens, and it's like, this isn't that good, but it's all on how something's prepared. So that could also relate into anything else part of your life. It's how you package something, it's how you deliver it. What do they say? It's not what you said, it's how you said it. And I got that stuff that I definitely have to work on too, because there's times I think I'm too prompt or critical, and I'm like, I'd probably be nicer about this, right? So that was one of the first things. Next thing is having experience helps us understand. And I'm a true believer in this. If we all went to a bunch of fires and had to do the job on a regular basis, that some of the theories out there wouldn't exist, because we would just know this is what works, right? It's not this works on a prop or this works when we can see. This is what we do and this is what works. So some of that was, at FTTN, just seeing the basics. A lot of times you're just doing a V-split with a hose stretch. When you're searching, you're getting low, and you just move quicker instead of just trying to use a tick all the time, because ticks can fail. Learning how to search without it. It was just basics, and it's amazing how well it works. But when you're going to a fire a day or multiple fires a shift, you're going to learn pretty quick. But what about the people that go 1 or 2 a year, right? So to understand that until it's been applied and works all the time, it's just a theory. Let's go with experience. So that brings me to the drill that we end up doing. And I think it was Aaron Fields kind of talked about before, how you have the nozzle person see and everyone behind cannot. So I don't know if it was exactly the way he had planned it, but it was just something on my mind. I'm like, hey, how can I make the guys realize that communication that we might take place at a drill field isn't going to work on the fire ground as well? So that's what I had to do. We all got in our PPE, no air packs. We did put our mask on. Nozzle person could see. The rest put their hoods on backwards. I'm not always a proponent of complete blackout, but for this drill, the point of this drill is actually just moving the hose and communicating. So I went with it. I ended up using about 4 people. And so the nozzle person went in, and I already saw people, some of it theory-based. A couple guys one guy was bunched up. And I'm like, all right, well, who's going to feed it from the line, from behind you if you're over here? So I had them spread out a little bit and then go. So they did it once. And what we ended up finding is guys couldn't hear like they thought they could. They weren't able to hear the nozzle person anymore. They were getting really far spaced out. There's a lot of extra hose put in places that we were at this fire station. And I had them go around 4 corners. But in a house, probably some pinch points start happening, get wrapped around, and way too much hose was brought in. But the guy saw it, right? I go, all right, let's do it one more time. But this time, nozzle person goes in, spread out, let the person in front of you get in front of you by about 10 feet. So try to figure out, it's a guesstimation. No one's going to be exact science. Once you're 10 feet, just bump up. Just grab some line and go where you think that other person is. And only give line if it's getting pulled. Don't keep, kind of straight stick it is another term of it. And I'll tell you right now, that one went way smoother. The guys actually felt like communication was better, and there's a lot less excess hose brought in. But it had to have the experience of it. So we were able to recreate it in a way that gave the experience for it. So bring that into your mindset of when you're putting on trainings or drills. you have to give people the experience and help them troubleshoot, right? You don't want people to fail. You need to help them with stuff. So that's my big takeaway from a recent drill that we had, and I have some photos up on I think social media about it. But kind of this all wraps into what happens if you care too much, right? Caring too much, what can happen with that? I know for myself, frustrations. I texted a buddy recently, hey, happy birthday. He's on a different department, and he said, oh, things are good. Brought up, department needs work, and I said, hey man, I said you have something to keep in mind. And I hear the term, my department is good, my department is bad, it sucks, all over the spectrum, right? Think about this. A department has an administrative staff that's kind of steering the ship. They're not everything with it, but these are also people, men and women. And guess what? Men and women make mistakes, are not perfect. So there's going to be mishaps that happen. And an example I'll share was at one point for a division chief rank at my department, you had to have a bachelor's degree for it. And I was going to put in, I didn't have a bachelor's degree. Well, fast forward, it became open again. There was an application process. The individual who got it does not have a bachelor's degree. Now, you can say my department, whatever, different fire chiefs were in charge, and they made a decision based on their reasoning for it. It is what it is. But you can see it either way. You can go, I could easily say, oh, my department's against me. Well, that's not true. Not at all. It was a decision was made by someone, and what they were looking for wasn't what the previous guy just wanted education stuff, and that's no longer the case for it. So stuff is going to change. Chiefs are going to change, company officers are going to change, whatever it is. So things are going to be a little different, and it's almost like you have to care, but not caring too much, because I could easily just be frustrated and be like, oh, I'm going to look on a different department if that's my goal, right? If it's, oh, I'm stopped at where I'm at. People do that. But it's also not taking it personally and going, all right, well, this kind of stinks because 1 minute it was mandated, 1 minute it's not, but whatever, still having a good time doing what I'm doing in the role that I'm doing it. So, and that was the thing I told my buddy. I said, listen, you're going to have different chiefs go up there, and understand it's a person making a decision. Who knows what their perspective is? Maybe they're not good, maybe they are, but don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? That's a saying that's out there with it. Don't throw out the department just because there's a few mishaps that happen. Our career is a roller coaster. I had a senior captain tell me that many years ago, and there's gonna be highs and lows with it, just like in your life. There's gonna be highs and lows with it. So enjoy the ride for it. So that kind of what the lesson of the day comes out to is nobody is perfect. So stop expecting perfection from everyone around you. And this is something I think about too, because we're very critical of our supervisors. I know I can be. I know people below me are with me sometimes. We're very critical because we expect them to be perfect, and that's unfair because we're not perfect. So keep that in mind. It'll probably help you deal with a lot of stuff going on. But right now I got the phone call. I got to head over to pick up some lunch for the family, a little Pollo Tropical. And so that's all I got for you guys. I hope you're appreciating the podcast. If you got something out of it, share it with somebody else. And for those of you watching, go ahead and share it up with other people. And as always, head over to brotherhoodcoaching.com. Check out the resources we have there for you. And otherwise, I'll talk to you guys next time.